Welcome to Sexy Mom Abundant Life with best-selling author and coach Kathy Williams, a show to help you tap into the support of the universe and access the abundance that's available in every area of your life. Listen in for conversations and tools to create more ease, joy, and possibility with family, relationships, business, and living. Kathy's joyful perspective will help you tap into your own wisdom and create a life of presence and abundance your way. Listen live on Thursdays at 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific, or anytime on iTunes or at IOM FM.
Welcome to Sexy Mom Abundant Life, everyone. Thank you so much for listening in. This is Kathy Williams. And today's conversation is about something that impacts just about everyone, which is self-doubt. And those little gremlins creep up in relation to anything, relationship, adventure, work, anything that's new, and even sometimes things that aren't new. So I'm excited to dive into this conversation with my friend Sophie Michelle. Welcome to the show, Sophie.
Hi, Kathy. How are you?
Doing great. How are you?
I'm good. I'm excited about our topic today.
Me too. Yeah. And I can think of a lot of situations in my life in which I have had self-doubt, and I'd imagine you can too. And some of them I kind of plowed through some of them, and then I let other instances of self-doubt really hold me back. No, all those negative thoughts, all of that stuff. I allowed to limit me, and it's never fun to allow that to limit you. So
nope.
I'm excited about this conversation with you, and you've definitely
Me too.
been a person in my life who I've kind of bounced ideas off of, and you're like, go for it. So it's good to have a friend like that.
I think one of my talents is to differentiate between self-doubt and actually it's a bad idea. Like, I can tell when people are telling me, oh, I want to do this, but I don't think I can. I actually can tell whether they're doubting themselves or it's truly not going to work because, X, Y, or Z. And there is a difference. So when you have self-doubt, it actually makes it impossible to really see if something you want to do is going to work or not. But if you are, familiar with what self-doubt looks like and you can acknowledge it and you can, treat it and take care of it in a different way, then you will actually be able to have clarity on whether something is feasible or not feasible. So even in that instance, just to have more clarity, I think we need to address self-doubt, right?
Absolutely. And as we were talking about what to talk about today, clarity definitely came up, even though we do have a show in the archives. If you go on IOM.FM or YouTube and SoundCloud and check out Sexy Mom Abundant Life, we have a whole show and conversation about clarity. And that is one of those things that is so relevant when it comes to self-doubt.
Yes. Okay. So, shall we start? Right?
Let's dive in.
So the funny thing about self-doubt is it often, sometimes, most of the time, does not look like self-doubt. It looks like things show up that prevent you from doing something. You find 100 reasons for not doing anything that are very good reasons, like no time, no money, you're sick, all of that. You become sick. All of these, they're actually manifestations of self-doubt. And if you don't acknowledge them for what they are, you're going to let them run you. You're going to absolutely let the self-doubt run you because you're going to be like, oh, I don't have time. Yeah, you can always make time. You make time for things that matter to you. So if you are not making the time, it's because you are doubting. That's the first step, is acknowledging that there is self-doubt. And it's okay. Now, I want to make a big difference between feeling guilty and feeling shame. So feeling guilty is knowing we made a mistake, something we've done, right? Like, cool, I made a mistake. Okay, but that's easy. I made a mistake, and then I'm going to look on how I can fix the mistake. Feeling shame is about who you are, and that's where self-doubt comes in. It's when you say, oh, I am shameful about this or that, but it becomes who you are. So you mix that mistake or you mix that problem with your identity. And that's when it becomes problematic. That's when it's in the way of your dreams and your desires. And you really need to differentiate guilt from shame. First
and I mean, one of those underlying core negative beliefs that people hold that influences this is, I'm not good enough. Just blatantly, like, yeah, I am not good enough. Yeah.
But then to ask somebody, okay, why do you think you're not good enough? Right away, they're going to tell you, oh, I have not done this. I have not learned this. I have not practiced this. Okay, so that's a doing. That's not a being. So you're confusing who you are with what you have done or not done. So if you can distinguish those two, then you cannot say, I am not good enough anymore.
It's not about what you are. It's about what you've chosen. And here's the thing. Like, what I say is no one came in with that skill. Whatever you're saying, oh, I haven't done it. I like, I haven't spoken on stage, or well, I don't know how to do a good YouTube video. I've never done it before. It's like, no one came in as a baby and was able to do that, right? Every single person who has done that out there has learned to do it. So,
Absolutely.
which is amazing and awesome, because it means you can too. Like, you are not the unique person in the universe who cannot do it, right? It's like, if you have the resolve enough and take the action, you can do it.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, I say most likely somebody has figured out to do it before you. And you just need to find out who it is and where is the information. But like, YouTube is so great about that. You know, I kept seeing these really specific paintings that I really loved. They look a little bit like, those of you who aren't video, they look a little bit like this. And I was like,
that's pretty.
I want to know how to paint like this. But I didn't know what it was called. So I kept going to art stores, and I was like, I want to do this. And nobody were like, what are you talking about? They did not understand what I meant. So I just put acrylic painting or abstract acrylic painting in YouTube, and I had all these videos, and tons and tons of videos on how to do exactly this. And now I can paint like this. Now I learned, and I can do it. So it's really, it's funny how, like, you have an idea of something, and you're like, instead of saying, I am not good enough, just say, oh, I have not done this, or I haven't figured out how to do it, and then you go figure it out.
Yeah. And yet is a great word, because it's like, I don't know how to do it yet.
Yes.
I haven't done it yet. So it opens the door. Well, the door is already open to possibility, but it helps you see that, oh yeah, there's more possibility here.
Yeah.
I learned to change a tire on YouTube.
Ooh, fun.
I had a coaching client this morning. I was leading a group coaching call, and one woman said, Yes, I didn't know how to edit podcasts, and I'm on YouTube, and I'm going to different people's sites and downloading free information, and now I know how to do it.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
There's a whole world of information out there, and it's just a matter of, sometimes Googling it, sometimes you're reaching out to someone who's done it before, sometimes,
Mm-hmm.
if we're willing to ask the question, we're going to be guided to find the information we're looking for.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but if you have so if you're maintaining that identity that you are not good enough, then no matter how often the information will go in front of you, you will not see it. So you have to first understand that this has nothing to do with who you are. And I keep thinking of babies, right? I love that you mentioned young children, because when young children are born, they do nothing. They cry, they poop, they eat, but they don't do anything. And we love them. We absolutely adore, love them, spend hours gazing at them, taking care of them, and they've done nothing. Nothing. It's like our love is absolutely not based on what they can do, right?
So true.
So if you are suffering from self-doubt, remember, you still that baby. Even though you're grown and you maybe have more years to your age, it does not matter. You're still that child. You do not need to do anything to be completely loved and lovable. Nothing. Isn't that cool?
I love that, and thank you so much for bringing that up. I used to have this quote from either A Course in Miracles or Marianne Williamson's interpretation, on writings based on the Course in Miracles, and it said, like, there is nothing you can do to make yourself be more loved than you already are.
Exactly. Nothing. It's so
and
cool.
It's such a great reminder. Yeah.
Yeah.
So as you were talking about babies, I thought how often we stop ourselves because we think, oh, this is not going to be as good as I want it to be, right? I want it to be the best. And I remember working with a client who was on the table one day, and he's like, yeah, I'd love to teach massage, but I want it to be the best. And I was like, well, your very first class probably won't be the best. But that's okay, right? It's like you're going to know more than the people in there. And then as you develop that muscle, you can be the best you can be at it.
Well, I would love to look at that word, the best, because
yes,
then you have to include a judgment of yourself to be the best.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
And I don't know about you, but judgments are just no fun. They're no fun. They always include some kind of limitation. So if you're going to say I'm the best, then you're either putting down other people, or you are, judging yourself. So you're the best today, you may not be the best tomorrow. It's so not smart to want to be the best. I'm sorry, but it's not smart. You want to be just entirely fully present, giving everything you've got, like really giving it all. And that's the best that you can be and do in that moment. There's nothing else you can be and do but just giving it all. That's it. 100%.
Well, and I love that you say that, because that's so true in relation to our choices too. Because I think when a lot of us have self-doubt, it's in relation to getting it right, quote right, whatever right is. Like I want to make the right choice, and therefore I'm not sure that this is the right choice, so I'm not going to make a choice because we're doubting that, like, I'm having the impulse to make this choice, but what if it's not the right choice, which again is judgment.
Exactly. We can go down series that sound good, but completely limitative and will always bring you back to self-doubt. So like right, perfect, good, best, what else? What else do we have? Successful. All of those, they just always bring you back to some kind of self-doubt. Okay, so I did this yesterday. Am I going to be able to do it again tomorrow? Or, I made this amount of money. Am I going to be able to keep maintaining that? Or maybe that's the best I can be. Maybe that's it. I've reached my maximum, whatever. Like those words, if you can eliminate them from your vocabulary, you'll be so much happier. So much happier. And actually, self-doubt may come in, but it won't have any power because it won't match anything that you're being. So if you don't actually care about being the best, being right, being good, being perfect or excellent, then when self-doubt comes in, you're like, I have no room for you. Sorry, can't put you anywhere.
Well, what you were talking about, being present.
Yeah.
When you're present, you're the best you can be in that moment.
Mm-hmm.
And so when we're present with a choice, we're making the best choice we can make in that moment. And in the next moment, we'll have more information.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And, okay, so let's talk about big choices versus small choices. Because when you make a small choice, then there is really you can only go bigger from there, right? You make a small choice and then you make another greater choice and a greater choice and a greater choice. But if you make a big choice right away, it's going to shake a lot of things inside of you. It's going to shake a lot of things in the people around you because that's basically by definition a big choice. It affects more than you. And so it's going to shake people. It's going to create a lot of discomfort because it's a new space. You're entering a new space when you make a big choice. Now, what I have found is, unfortunately, the way we are made is to bring that element of good or bad into it. So I'm coming into a new space, and I have to right away define it as, oh, it's good or it's bad, or it's correct or it's incorrect. It's just how we are. So if you stay present, you can notice that and not allow it, right? So you can be, okay, I see that right now I'm trying to judge this as good or bad, but I don't have to allow that. I don't have to give it any power. I can just observe it. And then once I'm noticing it, but not giving it any power, those judgments will actually dissipate on their own. There will be nothing for you to do, but just be present. It is so cool.
I love that when we're talking about thought. That's exactly what you do to take the power out of, whatever thought you've been thinking. Yeah.
I think that's what people meditate do, isn't it?
Well, until they say, hey, wait, when I meditate, the thoughts don't go away. Well, yeah, but as you meditate, it's not the first time thoughts are coming either. There's a constant stream of them all day long, and they do pass, right?
Yeah.
The thing is to recognize, like, oh, I'm the blue sky, and the thoughts are like clouds, and I don't have to glom onto any of them.
Yeah.
And if it's important, it'll come back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, I know we're probably going to be interrupted anytime soon, but I don't know if we want to go already in, like, what to do to just not succumb to the effect of self-doubt.
Yeah.
Not let yourself be overpowered by that.
Let's go into those things after we take a break.
I know, right? Is it our music?
I have a list. Oh, thanks so much for listening to Sexy Mom Abundant Life, everyone. Today it's Kathy and Sophie, and we'll be back in just a few minutes. Thanks for listening.
Feed your soul with waves of consciousness on OMTimes Radio. OMTimes Magazine is one of the leading online content providers of positivity, wellness, and personal empowerment. A philanthropic organization, their net proceeds are funneled to support worldwide charity initiatives via Humanity Healing International. Through their commitment to creating community and providing conscious content, they aspire to uplift humanity on a global scale. OMTimes, co-creating a more conscious lifestyle.
Hello, I'm Sandy Sedgbeer, host of OMTimes Magazine's flagship radio show, What is Going On? My passion is sifting through information, research, and innovations from new thought teachers, speakers, and researchers pushing back the boundaries of what we know about life, energy, metaphysics, and the universe. I love shifting perceptions about who we are, why we're here, and how quickly impossible becomes normal when we open our minds, expand our awareness, and accept that the only limits that exist are those we place upon ourselves. So if you're the kind of forward-thinking, eager investigator of what lies beyond the current reality that most perceive, why not make a date to come play with me in the field of possibilities at 4 p.m. Pacific Time, 7 p.m. Eastern Time every Thursday, and together we can discover what's really going on.
Would you like to have a life of more clarity and abundance? What's possible for you when you get out of your own way? Connect with Kathy Williams for private coaching or join her online to transform your relationship with abundance in every area of your life with the Radical Abundance course. Kathy also travels, facilitating radical abundance and access consciousness bars and foundation around the world. She'll be in London, Hawaii, Hilton Head, and other fun locations soon. Visit www.meetkathywilliams.com for a class schedule, to connect with Kathy, or invite her to your region and get some free goodies.
Hey, hon, what you doing with your phone? Taking pictures?
No, I'm asking you questions.
Like what?
Hey, Bobo, do flowers have best friends?
I'm sorry. I'm afraid I don't know that.
Hey, follow me. I want to show you something. Look, flowers do have best friends.
Whoa.
Some answers can only be found in nature. Discover the unsearchable. Visit discovertheforest.org to find a trail near you. Brought to you by the United States Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to Sexy Mom Abundant Life, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. This is Kathy Williams, and I'm having a conversation with Sophie Michelle today about all things self-doubt. So, what self-doubt stops us from, what is self-doubt, what's beneath self-doubt, and now we're going to head into some ways to get over it, like stopping at the mercy of it. So,
before we do that, I just realized something. There are some cultures where having self-doubt is cool. It's considered like the right thing to do. Like, you're supposed to have self-doubt to fit in, to have conversations with people, to connect with people. So if that's what you're thinking, like, oh, if I don't have self-doubt, I don't know what I would talk about with my girlfriends, then I would love to say get other girlfriends. Like, you don't need people who maintain self-doubt in your life. So that's number one. If you have people around you who maintain that self-doubt, so either you can have a conversation with them or change that, just change friends, right?
Well, it almost seems like that's, that's a place people can relate.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you have that? Well, let me tell you about mine.
Yeah.
Like, or this is how I get attention from you. Because I'm not sure, and I'm going to feed this, and then you're going to come along, and you're going to feed this too, and maybe even save me, or like, that's our dynamic together.
Yeah. But it's really no fun. And I used to think that was what most people talked about. And for a while, because of that, I actually did not have a lot of close friends. because I was really tired of having those conversations. And then in the last year, I realized that not everybody is like that. And it's really cool to be now in circles where people don't give an ounce of credit to self-doubt. On the opposite, they're all about lifting you up and lifting themselves up in the process. So I have two strategies to get when it comes to self-doubt. The first one is refusing it. So as soon as I'm aware of self-doubt, I will physically do something to refuse it. I will say no out loud, say no, that is not taking that on. I will shake my head, no. And then sometimes I'll be silly. So I'll be like, I'm cutting the head off. No way. That is not happening.
I love that so many of yours are physical, like shaking your head or like waving your arm. Yeah.
It has to be physical because if you're not, the body has a memory of self-doubt, and if you're not using your body to get rid of it, it will eventually it will remind you of self-doubt. So it's a way of getting rid of memory in the body of the memory of self-doubt. So I use my body a lot. That's the first thing. And then there is a word that for a long time I did not understand, and I'm going to be totally honest with you. I finally got the meaning of that word last night. And it's the word contemplation. And contemplation I thought was boring, and I thought it was useless and pointless, and I did not understand it. And then last night, it was suggested to me that I actually entered a state of contemplation. And it's really cool because it's a space where you welcome everything that is amazing, great, and beautiful about the world. And you are in awe of it. So you put yourself in a situation of awe. You are grateful for it. And you let it invade your own being. And when you do that, there's no room for it.
Yeah.
Absolutely none. So it would be ridiculous to speak about self-doubt after contemplation. It would be like, that's just what? It's just a different language. So I really recommend, and I can talk more about what contemplation is and what it takes to be in contemplation, but man, that was so powerful for me to finally surrender. I was afraid of losing myself in a way. Like, oh, that means I disappear or I don't exist anymore because I'm surrendering to something so much greater than me. But what happens when you do that, actually the true part of yourself, the part that really wants self-expression, the part that has a place in this world, comes out to play and be like, let's go do things now. And also, it's contagious. Suddenly the people around you are like, I don't know, but I feel like doing this and doing that. And they start entering into contemplation, and they start being grateful, and self-doubt disappears from their life as well. So it's amazing, totally amazing.
So it sounds like through that process, you were identified, as we do, right, with aspects of yourself, right? We all have a story, we think we are this. Mm-hmm. And then through that process, you kind of dropped that story, and you could sense more of actually your essence.
Yeah, completely. It's almost like I was compartmentalized before. So there was my mind, there was my body there was my heart there. And then suddenly it's like one whole being. And it's powerful, man. It's really powerful. I mean, I don't know what's your experience when you are healing somebody, what your experience is. But for me, for 7 years now that I started doing some kind of healing practice, it's always been electric. I've always felt some kind of electricity in my hands or in my arms. And then when I do enter contemplation, I feel electricity all over my body.
Yeah.
And I'm not even healing anybody, but I feel, to me, that it's like divine intervention comes over, and it's reminding me of the power that we have together as, you know, as people on this planet. There is no exercise here. It's a posture. Is that how you said posture?
Posture.
It's a posture. And you just be there and you allow yourself to really expand. It's an expansion. It's so big and it's so bright, but it is in communion with everything and everyone. There's no separation at all. So I know I'm messy, but when I come into that space, being messy, it just becomes such a silly thing. So like every problem I could have, like I have a lot to do before my family arrives, or, you know, the holidays, I have to buy gifts for everybody. All of this stuff becomes still something I can handle and do, but it's not a big deal. Like I'm not worried about it anymore.
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah. I love it.
And you're right. It is contagious. You know, I mean, what you're talking about sounds like a oneness practice that I've done for many years. And then I started to do some other energy work and other systems. And then I came back to it recently and I was like, why was I not doing this? You know what I mean? Like, this is one of the most powerful things I've ever done, like ever discovered. And I did it, and then I let it go, which is fine. Like, there's no judgment in that whatsoever. But it's just like, very curious, because when you're there, like, yeah, like all the chatter and all the, oh, this is super important, or you know, on you, and all of that, like, just disappears. Because it's like, yeah, I mean, those things are there. And they'll be handled if and when they're meant to be handled. And it's no big deal. So I love that you brought this in. And I mean, NLP, for those of you, you know, who are curious, NLP has a lot of practices also. If you're, what do I want to say? Looking for ways to change your state. You know, I went to a trainer. I was certified as a trainer of NLP quite some time ago, probably 14 years ago. And one of the things they do before you go up on stage and talk to the 500 people, because on day one you do that, right? And it's just like, day one, everybody's a little bit like, heck, I don't even know who these people are, and you want me to go on stage and talk to them? And so what they do is they get you in a state of like, no, I'm a capable person, right? And you get tapped into you as that capable person because you've done things that brought a sense of wow to yourself before. And so you learn to tap into all those positive energies and use them right before you go on stage. However, I want to say that that's not actually necessary. You can feel frickin' scared of everyone and still get out there on stage and nail it, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, and that's one of the things I want to bring in, because we can be feeling crappy, or like our presentation or our whatever it is isn't good enough. We can still have those thoughts and do the thing anyway.
You know, I'm going to give you a little example. So I am completely changing my business marketing and all of that. And it's been fascinating because the whole time I'm putting all the materials together, I'm like, it's not good enough. It's not good enough. It's not good enough, right?
I remember that. Yeah.
I'm still doing it. I'm still putting it out there. And what I realized is that it would not be good enough for me because I've already mastered the techniques I'm talking about. So for me, to learn something greater, like all of this stuff I'm talking about, I've already got it. So of course, it's I wouldn't buy my own program because I've already got the technique. But for somebody who hasn't mastered this is going to be good. Like, I've used it. I know it works. It's going to be awesome. So there's always more. There's always greater. But that doesn't mean that what you're doing is not helping somebody or serving somebody or even serving you. You may just be looking at it from a perspective that is not the one of the people that it would serve.
I love that. And if you look at like, 4 years ago, was there a point in my own personal evolution where this would have been amazing? Like, I wish I had this.
Yeah.
I think a lot of times when we're looking at, what we're creating, the mind goes to, yeah, but it's not at the level of so-and-so, right? Which again is a judgment, right? Comparison. And I remember talking with a teacher, amazing teacher, some years ago, more than a decade ago, and he said, Kathy, I'm an amazing healer. I know that. And I'm not Jesus. So I'm not going to compare myself to Jesus because that's just not going to go well for me. Right? And so it's like, would you give yourself a break and not compare yourself to the people you think are rock stars, are amazing? And look at, like, this is actually valuable. What I have to offer is valuable. 10 years ago, I would have loved to have this, or whatever it is, where you get to see, like, oh yeah. And a lot of times, for me, I ask, what is life inviting me to? And sometimes I drag my own feet about what life is inviting me to. Like people asking for a online bar class, and that's an exercise class. And my own self-doubt was like, well, I can't get the playlist right. And I can't. The playlist is tripping me up. I spent hours, on saying to myself, oh, the playlist is not good enough, but then hours on the playlist. And then finally I went to someone's bar class and I was like, well, her playlist isn't perfect. Like, mine doesn't have to be perfect. But it was so cute to see, like, I've never done this thing before. I've taught yoga for almost 20 years, but most of the time we use no music or really simple music, right? Not like changing songs and stuff like that and wanting the tempo to be, in tune with the exercise and stuff like that. And it was so funny because there came a point at which it was sort of like, so what? Even if the playlist is not good, I'm doing this because I'm done holding myself back. And for me, a lot of times that is act anyway. Schedule something. Yeah. So I'll schedule it and I'll make it public because it's like, then Kathy's got to jump.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess we'll talk about how awesome that is after the break.
Y'all can join me in Bar Online. My website, meetkathywilliams.com. There's a bar tab. Come check it out. Thanks so much for listening to Sexy Mom Abundant Life, everyone. We'll be back in just a moment.
The future of Internet radio is here. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
Ascending Hearts is no ordinary dating site, but a spiritual dating site with a purpose, to link you with your soulmate. We engineer the serendipity so you can trust that you will attune with someone that has the same matching vibration as you. Ascending Hearts, the conscious dating site for the spiritually aware. Try Ascending Hearts for free. AscendingHearts.com.
Would you like to have a life of more clarity and abundance? What's possible for you when you get out of your own way? Connect with Kathy Williams for private coaching or join her online to transform your relationship with abundance in every area of your life with the Radical Abundance Course. Kathy also travels, facilitating radical abundance and access consciousness bars and foundation around the world. She'll be in London, Hawaii, Hilton Head, and other fun locations soon. Visit www.meetkathywilliams.com for a class schedule, to connect with Kathy, or invite her to your region and get some free goodies.
More than 24 million Americans have an autoimmune disorder, and that number continues to grow. I'm Sharon Saylor, and I'm one of those 24 million. To put that number in perspective, cancer affects about 9 million and heart disease up to 22 million. That's why I've brought together top experts and those thriving regardless of their diagnosis to bring you the latest, most up-to-date information. Join me, Sharon Saylor, Friday night, 7 p.m. Eastern, for the Autoimmune Hour on Life Interrupted Radio to find out how to live your life uninterrupted.
Hi, we're the Goo Goo Dolls. We're fortunate that our daughters have what they need to grow and learn. But that isn't the case for nearly 13 million kids in the U.S. that struggle with hunger.
Childhood hunger is a heartbreaking reality that Feeding America is working to change. Each year, the Feeding America network of food banks rescues billions of pounds of good food that would have gone to waste and provides it to families and children in need.
You can help kids in need in your community by visiting feedingamerica.org.
Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Welcome to Sexy Mom Abundant Life, everyone. This is Kathy Williams, and I'm having a conversation with Sophie Michelle today about self-doubt. And overcoming this, finding ways to beat your own self-doubt, definitely frees up a lot of energy. So before we hop back into the conversation, I know you have some fun free things on your website, Sophie. And,
actually, have a brand new one. I'm so excited. A brand new one. How to cultivate your mindset.com. How to cultivate your mindset.com. And you will get a free report about this is the foundation for an extraordinary business. It's the mindset that is required for that extraordinary business. So go download it. It's free right now. How to cultivate your mindset.com.
Okay. I love that. Cool. And I wanted to let y'all know that I'm going to have something new on my website. It's not quite ready yet, but it's going to be a grid of the 9 things that people use to stop themselves the most, and ways to get around that. So you can kind of see, with my own example, I was using, I don't have a good playlist for my bar class to stop myself, but I could look at it and say, so what is that really? Is that, which of these 9 categories does that fit into? And now, what can I do about it? And being able to see that you're doing that to yourself, because when something's stopping us, it's not outside of us. It's in us. Even though a lot of times we'll say, it is outside of me. It's my husband. It's my children. I don't have enough time because of them. Well, this will help you see that in a different light.
Yeah.
So, and that is meetkathywilliams.com.
Absolutely.
So, we are diving even deeper. And you were about to say something about, tagging off of what I said, and then we had to go to break. Do you remember what that was?
Okay, so you were talking about stopping yourself, still doing. I love that idea of, even if you have self-doubt, to keep going anyway, to keep doing it anyway. That probably is what it's really, really effective, because it's showing self-doubt that it doesn't belong in your life. And also so basically, when you recognize that you say, I'm not good enough, but I'm still going to go do this, that creates an energy. And the energy is really big, because you personally have to put more energy to get over whatever in your head or in your heart is blocking you. So you use that energy and you're like, nope, I'm going to go do it anyway. And so when you come at it, so this is going to be interesting. When you come at it, you are actually more attractive than somebody who does not have to overcome self-doubt. Because now you are being vulnerable, you are being raw, you're being big, and people will notice you. Versus somebody who is like, oh, this is just regular stuff for me. It's just not as noticeable. Do you need to have self-doubt to be more noticeable? No, but it will definitely help. So yes, you should differentiate it and notice that it is self-doubt, but do it anyway.
That, you know what, as you were talking, I had this image of like, let's say there's a boulder and one person's just walking along and they just climb over the boulder and the other person has self-doubt and they're like, I'm not sure. And so they're building up all this energy and they run and they leap over the boulder. Like there's much more energy behind it. The only caveat is if you say, oh, I'm going to do this, but then you kind of hide it. Right? Because you're not sure it's going to work out. So you, you know, well, let me dip my toe in and see how it works. And that can happen too. It's not so recommended, but sometimes you can even use that to your advantage. Let's say, let me just use this example. Let's say, okay, I'm doing my bar online experience for the first time. And let's say I don't market it widely. And therefore, like, we get there and it's just, I get to iron out all the kinks and make it how, oh, well, there was a music hang up and it wasn't as loud as I'd like it to be, or like, you know, and kind of shape it a little bit more. So sometimes maybe you're functioning from your awareness when you're just dipping a toe in.
Yeah.
And so it's not something to make yourself wrong for. It's just like, what's really going on here? Am I hiding it, or is this my awareness that there are things to just play with? Or what's really going on?
Yeah, absolutely. So the hiding thing is very interesting. That's if you're hiding in a So let's say that you're just in what they call it, beta mode. So if you're in beta mode and you're just working out the kinks, that's different. But if you're hiding, then you're not doing it. Okay, so let's just be honest with ourselves here. Either you're doing it or you're not. If you're hiding it, you're not doing it. You're pretending, you're maybe in rehearsal mode at times, but you're not actually jumping in with both feet. You're not being present. And unfortunately, this is the most fertile ground for self-doubt, is when you hide. Because obviously, if you're hiding, people are not going to find it, and therefore they cannot appreciate it. And so you're going to be like, look, I did it, didn't work. No,
exactly. So you're proving to yourself. Yeah, you're proving to yourself that it didn't work, or that you indeed weren't good enough. And blah, blah, blah.
Exactly.
I have been there. I know that story.
I know. I think a lot of us have been there. But that's the perfect place. So if you want to really get rid of self-judgment, go for it 150%. You cannot fail. Like, there's no failure when you go for it. There is, then if, let's say, okay, last night I launched my How to Cultivate Your Mindset.com free book, and it's in English. And I had 2 English people interested, and I had 20 French people interested. Okay? Now, I'm not taking that as a failure. I'm taking that as, oh, the French really wanted it French. So now all I'm going to do is I'm going to go and put it in French, create it in French. I'm going to adjust. It's not a failure. It's an adjustment.
I love that. And the way, I believe it was Richard Bandler or Tony Robbins, I'm not sure who this originated from. They said there's no failure, only feedback. Right? So you got your feedback, now you're adjusting.
Exactly.
And that's the most brilliant way to operate, because you're using the information. Maybe it didn't work out the way you thought it would or should, you know, and this is true of all of us. We're all going to take actions that don't turn out the way we think it, quote, will, right? And if we just take the information that we get, like Sophie is doing, and then use it to create something even greater, it's amazing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's always going to create more for you if that's the way you're functioning. If the way you're functioning is going to, well, that didn't work out, I must suck. You know,
I would love to speak about. So I met this guy who created an app that. Okay, I go to this entrepreneurs group and they always have a speaker, and usually it's a speaker who's done something remarkable or has some kind of remarkable experience that they share with us. So they promoted this guy as, oh my gosh, he got this app. And he raised $1 million, and he's doing so well. Like the way they presented him, like he was very successful. And here comes this guy who's really well put together, fit, speaks really well, has great content on his presentation. Then somebody asked him a question: how many people are actively using your app? And I was like, oh, that's a good question. And the answer shocked me. 112 people. Now, I've done an app, and I had 200 people using my app, and I thought I was a failure. You know what I mean? Like, oh, interesting. I actually had more people than this guy, but he's considered a failure. It was fascinating to me. But for him, it's just because he's in the process of launching it and, you know, getting feedback and all of that and changing it and transforming it. It's amazing. It's amazing that he looks so successful and he has, you know, 112 people using the app. So I thought that was really interesting, really fun. So fun fact.
How cute,
successful people has nothing to do with numbers. Nothing to do with numbers, right?
It's all in your interpretation. You interpreted that as a failure, and he would have been like, oh, amazing.
I know. I love it. I love it because in that group, I have a lot of people who have startups. And when I hear their numbers, it's amazing because in a way, you and I are like 3, 4, 5 times bigger than they are, right? But because they're tech, they have to raise more money and things like it's just really interesting. So it's really a different perspective, and you can't use your own standard against yourself. Okay? That doesn't work. It doesn't work. Let it go.
Well, and then it sort of is like, okay, you know, I got 200. What would it take? Awesome. What would it take to triple that? What would it take to 10 times that? What kind of questions can I ask? What kind of connections can I make that would create that?
Yeah. And don't ask me the name of the app because I took it down. I actually did not have, it was too labor intensive for me. So I didn't have an interest in maintaining it. But yeah, if somebody is excited about it, I think asking those questions, or actually I'm working less and less with questions and more with declarations these days. So even just declaring, I'm doing really well and I'm going to be doing better and better. I wonder how, but I'm going to be doing really better and better. You know?
I'm doing this. Yeah.
I'm doing this. It's awesome. It's awesome.
Cool.
I'd love to know, like, I know we currently don't have live people on, but if there is anybody who watches this and wants to connect with us and let us know what their self-doubts are, I'd love to know, and we can even address that on a future show.
Absolutely. I often say, and didn't say today, so thank you for bringing it up, we love to hear from listeners. So whether you comment below the YouTube or, reach out at meetkathywilliams.com. And you have a question or you have a show idea or you think, well, I really didn't get that part of what you were talking about. We can clarify that then. And, having it be interactive makes it relevant.
Yeah.
You know? So the more interactive you are, if you do have a question, chances are someone else has that question too. So do them and yourself the gift of asking it. And questions just broaden our own awareness. So there's no such thing as a dumb question, even if you were laughed at in 7th grade.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, and one of the things I think for me that I would just encourage people to use, and I've mentioned it on the show before, but you can also find it in her book, The 5-Second Rule, is Mel Robbins' 5-second rule. And it's kind of like a rocket ship type of thing where you're like, oh, I'm doubting. I don't want to call this phone call. I don't want to make this phone call. Maybe the person is not around, or maybe they're in a bad mood, or maybe my ask isn't worth it. And you just go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and you do it.
Yeah, that's true. It's one of the ways, for sure.
Thank you all for listening. And Sophie, just remind people of how to contact you.
Oh, SophieMihalko.com. SophieHiemihalko.com.
All right, thank you. And you can always find me at meetkathywilliams.com. Also, Kathy Williams, public figure on Instagram and YouTube and all the places. And